let's start it all now with the details. And Nigeria has confirmed its intention to sign onto the Continental Free Trade Agreement, which begins operation from July 7th this week. This will mean the continent's biggest market and will be accessible to all countries for trading. Here's a report on what this would also mean to the Continental Agreement.
After a series of engagements between stakeholders and manufacturing community, the biggest economy on the continent, Nigeria, has finally accepted to join the single trading bloc, which will become operational from July 7. According to the Committee on Impact Assessment and Readiness of CFTA, which submitted its report to President Buhari last week, Nigeria will be signing the agreement in Niger in the upcoming extraordinary summit. This will mean that Ghanaians can enter the Nigerian market with their goods and services duty-free and quota-free. It will also throw a challenge to Ghanaian businesses to be more competitive to be able to maximize their gains. The aim of the agreement is to make intra-African trading, which has been around 15%, more flexible for member countries. This is expected to boost international trading by more than 50%. With Nigeria coming on board, Benin and Eritrea are the only two countries left to be part of the agreement. Responding to the announcement by Nigeria on a Twitter post, Commissioner of Trade and Industry for the African Union, Ambassador Albert Muchanga, stated Nigeria to sign the AfCFTA during extraordinary summit in a few days. Good and important development. 2 more to go and all African markets will start shaping up. This is certainly good news for the continent because Nigeria is currently the biggest economy on the continent.
Now, Ghana risks losing out significantly from the Continental Free Trade Agreement if the country's high tariff and tax regimes are not addressed. This is part of the recently launched Economic Development in Africa report. The report analyzed the economic potential of the CFTA on the African continent. Charles Aite has more in this report.
The 2019 Economic Development in Africa report notes the rules of origin in the Continental Free Trade Agreement could be a game changer for the continent as long as they are simple, transparent, business-friendly and predictable. Presented the report, managing partner for Cicada Consulting Limited, Philip Kobner, explained the usefulness of this tool.
The challenges that Ghana faces as a country in its trading arrangements, those challenges are not uncommon to the other West African countries. So one is addressed, the others are addressed.
According to the report, intra-trade is a mere 15% compared with around 47% in America, 61% in Asia, and 67% in Europe. About the Continental Free Trade Agreement in Africa, it is expected to change the trend if the agreement is fully implemented.
At a stage where, if you like, to pave the way for us. So what we need to do? What we need to do is that we should deepen our industrialization. What we need to do is that we should make our voices heard in terms of what it is with the rules of origin that will inure to our benefit.
The CFTA is expected to boost intra-African trade by 33% once full tariff liberalization is implemented, attracting additional intra-African investment and creating market opportunities to foster Africa's industrialization agenda.
Turning attention to other matters now, as the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta prepares to present the mid-year review as well as a supplementary budget, he's being challenged to come up with new measures to raise revenues. Former Finance Minister Setekwe says government must admit their policies are not working. Speaking to Joy Business, Setekwe said government must check its expenditure patterns if it cannot raise the needed revenue.
It is probably time, to concede that the fiscal situation is tight and revenue measures are needed, and that some of the policies that have been taken in the past, require re-examination in order to save the fiscal or to protect, whatever gains may have been made in the fiscal, situation, or more appropriately, rather, for us to understand in that some of the measures on the expenditure side may require more, revenues. I say this because let us remember that we have had more oil revenue. We did not take ESLA, away. And a topic of current conversation is the fact that even where laws mandate, like the oil revenue, we may be using oil for consumption purposes instead of investments as envisaged, in those laws. So I honestly think that, we should come to a situation where the Ghanaian public is made to understand the true fiscal situation. We have raised issues, with offsets, which means that, contrary to the belief that payments were being made, it's mere offsets, and probably the payments may be slower, than what the positions in the budgets and in other statements are made to look like.
Now, government has awarded 2 oil blocks out of 3 that were up for competitive bidding for next round of the competitive bidding process. The Ministry of Energy settled on 2 joint partnerships that won these blocks. George Yafi has more.
A release from the Energy Ministry stated that First Exploration and Petroleum Development Company, in partnership with Landel Energy, won the 2nd oil block, while ENI Ghana, in partnership with Vitol Upstream, emerged winners of the 3rd oil block. According to the Energy Ministry, it has invited these firms for negotiations on their petroleum agreement. This should now mean that government is now left with one that will be given out through another competitive bidding. With the remaining 3, 1 has been reserved for GNPC, while the remaining will go through direct negotiation. We cannot independently establish whether Tullow Oil is still in the race or actually lost out, as one of the blocks that he had applied has gone to Vitol and ENI. 14 oil firms were shortlisted for the final round of competitive bidding as well as the direct negotiations. This resulted in 60 applications being submitted to the Energy Ministry. This was after Exxon and BP withdrew from the contest, which they were requesting for direct negotiations for some 2 oil blocks. Government has maintained it makes sure that it gets the right level of revenue from the sale of these oil blocks.
Meanwhile, energy expert who is also executive director of the Kumasi Institute for Technology and Environment, KITE, Ishmael Ejukumihene, has raised questions about the transparency in the latest decision by the Energy Ministry to award oil blocks to selected international oil companies. The winners are to negotiate with the Ministry of Energy for final approval. Speaking earlier on the marketplace, he said that the current exploration and production law did not make room for some aspects of direct negotiation within the competitive bidding process. It would be unfortunate.
For it to be part of it at this stage and for the ministry to announce that they're going to go into negotiations with them suggests that it's been part of the arrangement right from the beginning. Previously when we were doing the direct negotiations, we used to have the model petroleum agreement, which is it's almost like a template. That's the starting point, and then when you sit down and negotiate with them, that's where that's the starting point for all the negotiations. Whether that still constitutes the basis, or now with this open tender, there's another basis from where they're going to negotiate from. 1% increase in royalty makes a lot of difference. So even if it's 0.5, it makes a lot of difference. So I think that's what it's going to be about. But hitherto, we had the model agreement that sort of becomes the starting point. I don't know whether they're still going to use that, or there's a new template they're going to start negotiating on. But I don't think they would have announced the negotiations post the bidding process if it wasn't part of the law. I need to check the law properly to see whether that is still allowed. But for them to have announced the winners and said we're going to negotiate with them presupposes that it should be permissible under the law for them to do that.
It's live on Business Live. Now, a recent survey by international advisory firm Confidence has revealed there are not enough made in Ghana goods on the shelves of some leading supermarkets in Accra. According to the report, only 18% of goods in top supermarkets are made in Ghana, which means 82% of the items in these shops are foreign or imported. The trend, one may argue, is worrying. Philip Namfuri has been taking a look at the people's various preferences and breaks the situation down.
and welcome to Joy Business, Breaking It Down, where we make complex topics simple and make it a bit funky for the everyday man to understand and follow. Let's talk about made in Ghana goods. Now, a research by international advisory group Confidence says 80% of goods sold in the top supermarkets, that's Gay, Marina Mall, Kuala, etc., are only made in Ghana, which means that a whopping 82% of these goods are imported. And that's a problem. When you talk about the currency and all other things, then it becomes a very big problem. But we want to ask a very big question. Do you buy and use made in Ghana? When I look at what I'm wearing, yes, it was made in Ghana, but the question is that, were the raw materials imported or they were made in Ghana? Our man on the ground, Fred Duho, spoke to some of these supermarkets, went around to have a feel of the place and see what exactly is going on there. So I'm going to go to Fred. He's going to tell us what exactly transpired in the supermarket yesterday. Fred?
Yeah, Philip.
So tell us what exactly, in your rounds in the supermarkets, what did you see? What did you come across?
I saw made in Ghana goods in most of the supermarkets I visited, and a number of them have a designated area for made in Ghana products. You would see clearly that in terms of prices, comparatively, made in Ghana products were on the lower side. Then again, some of the products were not having variety. The consumers I spoke to raised concern about packaging. They raised concern about the quality of content therein in these sort of packs that are found in these supermarkets. So they said they are ready to consume made in Ghana, but if it is well packaged, the content is of quality, they will go for it.
So packaging content. Final question to you. Are you wearing made in Ghana?
This, I can say, is not made in Ghana. Why? Because it's not GTP, it's not ATL. It was just a nice fabric I saw, and I know it is from one of the foreign countries, though. So it's not made in Ghana. If I should be wearing made in Ghana, it should be GTP or any of the locally produced textiles.
Fantastic. I'm going to go to Karen next, the beautiful and lovely Karen. I'm going to ask her what exactly on her desk is made in Ghana. I know Karen is much for this country, but Karen.
Well, Philip, so at least this is the only thing I can brag about being made in Ghana. I don't know about the fabrics used, but this bag was put together in Ghana.
And apart from that, obviously your laptop is imported, your phone imported, your earpiece imported, your clothes?
Also imported.
So clearly, we have Karen here who I would say is very patriotic, but even she is important. Now let me go over this way and go to George Wiafe, our venerable editor here at Joy Business, and I ask him a key question. George is a man of many gadgets, fancy car, etc. And the question is, George, what do you have here that's made in Ghana, and how are you going to support a made in Ghana campaign?
I don't have anything here that is directly made from Ghana in terms of sourcing the direct ingredients that went into the production of that good or that commodity. But I think that the argument is about the ease in getting a product that is manufactured here in Ghana and even the cost as well. Yes, of course, the Friday wear thing has caught on from just a one shirt in a wardrobe some years ago. Now I think I have a whole wardrobe made up of African prints that I wear every Friday and even to church as well. I do that. But again, apart from an individual preference and taste and cost and all those things that you want to look at, I think that sometimes a whole policy by government in trying to make something attractive in terms of tax rebates for businesses, in terms of individuals, if you go in and you purchase a good that is manufactured here in the country, what would that mean to you? What would be the cost-benefit analysis? What would be the tax release for you as well? So as we try to encourage people to consume what is made in Ghana, I think that something has to be done to motivate you and I to us to go in for goods or goods that are manufactured here in the country.
Okay, so George has said it all. Local manufacturers need more. They need help from government. We need to ramp up this figure from 18% in the top supermarkets. And mind you, this is just a supermarket. There are other stores and shops where we have locally made goods. But in the top supermarkets, the games, the ShopRite, the number is a very low one, and we should see more coming from there. This research was put together by Confidence International Advisory, and it says only 18% of goods in the shelves of these top supermarkets are locally manufactured. Now the question is, how do we increase this number to even 50%? It will surprise you to know that even in the research, water, a large quantity of it is imported. So now how do we solve it? George said it, Fred said it, packaging contains etc. We would like to buy made in Ghana, but it's a step-by-step process. So this brings us to the end of breaking it down from Joy Business.
Very, very interesting comments there by a section of the public. And on that note, we've been putting the question there on our Joy Business page. What would you prefer when making a choice for a made in Ghana good? Is it pricing or packaging? And the results show clearly that a lot of people are going in for pricing of made in Ghana goods. They look out for pricing before packaging. 55% is going for pricing and packaging 45%. Well, so the poll is still on. You can keep your votes coming in and we'll definitely bring you the final results. Time for the Joy Business Van. Successive governments have failed to confront the problem of effective waste management as the situation continues to prevail. However, one company championing the cause for proper waste management is Jekura Ventures. Today on the Joy Business Van, we take you to Jekura Ventures, the company bringing revolution to waste management.
All you may see are old dirty bottles, waste paper and rotten food. But for Jekura Ventures, the over 4,000 tons of waste generated a day in Accra is worth fortunes. This led to the obligation of serving over 400 households in Accra and some areas in Tema since the year 2013. Administrative Manager Felix Lai explains that Jekura prides itself in bringing value to waste.
We think that there's more to waste than we see. We see value in waste. So what we try to do is to add value to what we collect and call waste. We actually call them now materials in transition, so that we try and look at the properties of whatever is in our waste and see what we can do to improve them and then make them better.
With over 30 waste collection trucks, the waste segregation company does its best to ensure that a fraction of the waste produced is collected. However, Felix admits that everyone must get involved in the fight against waste.
As young as I remember class maybe 3 or 4, I couldn't litter. I would drink water and fold it and put it in my bag. I couldn't just do it. So sometimes when I see people doing those things, I don't know whether they don't like beauty, they don't like seeing nice things. And the same people travel and they appreciate what they see outside. But it's because the people we find there play their part.
With all these huge piles and bins of rubbish collected regularly, one may ask how the waste management company disposes them off. This question necessitated a search for solutions, and the answer was the creation of a recycling plant which processes fecal sludge and food waste into plant fertilizers for farmers.
And people are beginning to appreciate and then accept organic waste. We've had issues sometimes with people thinking that the fecal sludge, that component of it, makes it unhygienic. But the process that we go through makes sure that the pathogens are killed, and like I said, it's been certified so that we are sure that it's healthy and it's good for crop production. The crops that actually come out of it have proved to be better than what we have coming from the inorganic fertilizers.
With all these big dreams and plans for the company, Jekura Ventures saw the need to scale up in 2018 and therefore turned to business and investment platform Invest in Africa.
Along the line in our business, we identified the need to scale up and acquire certain skills. And we got in touch with Invest in Africa, and through their business accelerator program funded by FMO, they put us in touch with EY consultants who were here to help us develop our business plan and then structure our operations in a better way.
After a long talk about the company, we then set off to the field to examine the operations of Jekura waste trucks. Here, Felix explains the importance of waste segregation and how it can save the nation thousands of cedis.
I can see a lot of coin going there, but then these waste bins are emptying. The waste is not segregated.
No, it's not. If this was segregated, you wouldn't have as much as this being general waste. Okay. So that, as you can see, there's paper there, there are a few plastics there. If we had sorted all that, and then we have plastic separate, paper separate, what will be left in the bin will be less than this. You get it? So that is what would go to the landfill at the end of the day. So that's how we can reduce what we are taking to the landfill and then recycle the rest.
But how?
So in your home, when you are done drinking your water, you try and separate it, put it in a separate bag. In the homes, we'll use bin liners, so you put it in the bin liner. For paper, you have boxes, you have cardboard, you can stockpile it. When you have enough, you give us a call and we come and pick it up.
With over 200 workers and tackling one bin at a time, Jacora Ventures is hoping to make a change in the environment.
The Joy Business Van comes to you every Wednesday on Business Live with a repeat on Thursdays on the Marketplace. And this is where we draw the curtains down on Business Live tonight. Many thanks for your company. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. We have various news items making headlines on our business page. That's it for tonight. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good evening.